Can brands file scale in content? Brand integration is exciting, but can digital videos deliver the scale that mass brands seek? For which I would like to invite on stage Mr. Amin Lakhani, Leader South Asia Team Unilever Mindshare, and Mr. Rahul Kansal, Head Strategy and Marketing, Future Consumer, Mr. Sameer Pitalwala, Co-founder of Culture Machine, and Ms. Janine Stein would be the moderator of this session.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much for joining us. We're running slightly late, so we'll talk very fast. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We will start with a question. And the question is related to the session of the title, of course. Get your cards ready, please. Are brands leveraging online content opportunities at scale? Yes or no? More. God, this is quite mixed.
Yeah, largely no.
Largely no? No. Maybe 60-40? 60-40 no. I will put the same questions to the panel, beginning with Amin.
Okay. Are brands leveraging content at scale? Yes, some brands are doing it in style and in scale, and very, very well. And they've also met up with a lot of success. But I think largely brands are yet to get to scale. Just by doing a couple of videos or winning some 2-3 awards doesn't make it. Maybe there's too much noise that they're doing a lot of work. But in reality, if you check the reality of the number of campaigns, number of creatives coming out, it's far below the benchmark.
Sameer?
Even if they were spending billions, my answer would still be no. Clearly, my incentives are aligned in the fact that they should spend more. But I do think that given the way that the business has grown in terms of consumers and the way viewership has grown, normally one follows the other, the media grows and then consumers follow and then advertisers come last. And that's clearly a case in our market as well.
I think brands that use the internet as a marketplace, which is sort of big on e-commerce, etc., they clearly have discovered that this is inevitably, and it's probably a blend of brand building sort of activity online as well as closure and transaction sort of centric activity. But I would say they are significantly moving monies to the online space. But say soft consumer goods or FMCG, I think for them it's just sort of something that you don't want to be completely left out in the cold. So you have one ear to the ground. How can I use this medium well? But generally speaking, I think most people are just sort of see this as a interesting, slightly fascinating thing, an interesting place to put out some award-winning videos and that sort of stuff. But not really a frontal mainstream activity for most large consumer brands.
Okay, so you have brands that you're building. How much of your energy is going online and how much is going on ground?
We are not yet a large FMCG like Unilever, etc. As it happens, our company has chosen, for a bit of a background, Future Consumer is a company of the Future Group that's trying to launch a whole lot of differentiated brands. Unlike the usual white label kind of an approach that most retailers follow, we wish to launch highly differentiated brands in new and emerging categories, like maybe frozen foods or green tea or slightly more upmarket and differentiated chocolates and so on, or roasted snacks and healthy foods and all that. For us, both because our retail presence is limited to, although it's a large retail presence, it's still not the same as 10 lakh outlets around the country. It's maybe 1,000 outlets of modern trade, and also because our brands have highly defined brand propositions and highly defined audiences. We expect online to be in almost our main communication platform. Not yet a marketplace platform, but certainly a communication platform.
So the marketplace is far, maybe years out. how long will it take you to get to the place where you have a significant video presence online?
No, we may, even if online doesn't become a big marketplace for FMCG, and it isn't clearly. I think you take any large FMCG company and they'll probably tell you that their online sales must be under 1% or something, really small. So, but nevertheless for us, so even if it is not a huge, because we already have our brick and mortar stores, so bulk of our sales will actually probably happen in our stores. But our brand communication and our brand building through video and through other means will happen online.
What are you seeing with your brands, with brands that you manage?
I think the biggest question is that how many consumers, for advertisers, it's a clear diktat, and clearly that's the way our industry has evolved, is that money will flow in wherever eyeballs are there. So if consumers are coming online, spending more time, engaging with that content, obviously money will flow in accordingly, in accordance of that. Which comes to the next question, that are consumers married to a particular platform? I don't think neither consumers nor advertisers are married to any particular platform. Primarily because I think consumers are interested in good stories, whether the good stories come out on 70mm screens or whether they come out on your 5-inch mobile phone. I think as long as there's a good story, engaging story, consumers will come there, spend time. Whether it's live or whether it's deferred live or whether it's whatever is the type or the format of content, as long as the narrative or the storytelling is good, superior, people will come and watch you. It doesn't matter whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on a small OTT player, whether it's on your small feature phone. If the story is strong enough, people will come and watch you, and I think that's been the experience. And even for advertisers, like in any other medium, I don't think any advertiser is married to HBO or Star Plus or Colors or whatever it is. I think advertiser is married to where is the audience, how much engagement it is, what is the reach, and as long as advertisers can target their consumers who are relevant to them, they will spend monies over there.
But there's a significant barrier online, and you talk about measurement as being the biggest barrier to spend online.
Yeah. In my view, the reason why so many people, and I agree with them that most of them here in the crowd said that, are we using online video at scale? And the answer is no. Clearly the answer is no. And the biggest barrier to that today is because we don't have a common measurement system which is applicable to all platforms, where I can on one ground understand that is this platform giving me the same reach as the other platform. Can I compare the online video reach to, say for example, the television reach? Is it like to like? Is it apples to apples? Each guy will come with his own walled garden. He will give you his own metrics. In the last 10 years, we spent a lot of time in learning what they wanted to tell us, understanding the game, and eventually we've come back to the same old principle, saying where is the audience? And if I want to compare this platform audience to that platform audience, in 2017 I'm still struggling. And I think that is one of the biggest barriers. So as a brand manager, what is the easiest thing that I do? For years together, my father, my forefather, everybody built their brands based on television. Because those are the metrics that I'm used to. Those are the metrics that are auditable. Those are the metrics that are secured. My father built in, his father built in, it's a legacy thing. Everybody's done that, nobody's gone wrong. Today also, whenever I advertise, I still get the result. And so I'm pretty much happy with it. So either it's that, or else they have tested all the mediums, and they have empirically or with experience figured out that yes, this is the medium which is really performing versus the other. I would think that it's the previous one. I would think that measurement is one big enabler, and if we get the measurement system going in our country, I'm sure there'll be a leapfrog jump in the way advertisers are seeing the online video mechanism right now versus what they will see once the common measurement system is in place.
Can you say if we get it going? Is there a doubt?
Well, the baby steps or the initial plans are in place, and I think all the stakeholders have thankfully come together. There is BARC and there's a digital video measurement system which is taking shape. I hope, I pray that sooner rather than later it lands. It becomes a nomenclature where all of us use that into practice. But there is still some time away. It's quite some time away.
I'll turn to the content part of it. Where are you on creating content that has scale, and how do you approach the creative process as well as the technology process, because you've married them both? So you've created sorry, I'm answering for you. Go.
Sorry, what is the question, Janine?
How do you approach a space where you are primarily online? You're creating videos, hopefully that have scale, and you have a technology. You've brought the cost down with the technology you use. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's been actually a reaction to the way the platforms. So when we started off, YouTube was the only sort of game in town when it comes to large platform to build a media brand on. And with the growth of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, it just became, and we kind of have built our machinery out for ourselves to help scale the media business out. So it's kind of hard to, so most media companies, when they build technology, most of them build it in the distribution side of it, which is OTT typically. So they'll go and build OTT platforms in order to distribute content. We build technology at the creation side of it. So it's a very different part of the chain to build technology on. And the reason we did that is because our vision and goal is to kind of use technology and storytelling to build great media brands that people love. And the plurality of media brands is have to build media brands not only in different genres, but have to build them across multiple platforms. So if they are on YouTube, they also need to be on Facebook, they also need to be on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, etc. And inherently, everything turned to video. So if you look at social today, it's all video. So how do you at this point of time not only keep these media brands, so you have the regular production model where you keep creating great content and you sort of build distinct brands like we have in women, which is Blush, and we work with Amin on sponsors for that brand. Put Chutney on Tamil, Viva on Telugu, Awesome Sauce on food, which is now the #2 brand in the country on food, and also Being Indian, obviously, which is North Indian entertainment. And I have to keep these guys constantly alive across the board. And we also have very distinct communities which you're talking to. So you need to know what content works with each one of these communities. And that's where we kind of build those two technology platforms, which is Intelligence Machine and Video Machine, which we just expanded to internationally as well, and has been a great business outside of India for us. It's growing rapidly.
So the scale for that is coming from international expansion, but yet you still suffer from the same lack of measurement or the same hindered measurement in doing what you do, because you can't attract the ad dollars.
No, I don't think we do, because it's, so number one, because we have all the data. So that's a good place to start from. We're great partners with Facebook, we're great partners with Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo, Twitter.
Your metrics are still, as Amin
yeah,
said.
The challenge which Amin, I think so the thing is that because each one of these platforms measures so differently, I think right now, and this is literally as of last week, Facebook has shifted to a watch time metric as being the core driver of consumption. So the fact of the matter is that it's such a rapidly evolving world when it comes to video. I mean, they had a big fracas recently about what kind of what does a view constitute?
View.
Yeah, and that's been a big problem in our industry as well. And especially because how do you measure when a brand comes to you today, or if Amin or if Rahul give us a deal, and there's certain view commitments, probably the wrong metric to look at, because the views on Facebook are different than what the views on YouTube mean.
So it's a lack of standardization. But Rahul, does lack of standardization impact you at all?
Yeah, it's a pain actually to try and wade through the data or the reports that come in. And if there's a standardized thing, I was not aware of what happened last week, which Samir just referred to, but a standard metric across platforms would be indeed very useful.
Okay, so that would be the big enabler, and it's right now the big barrier to scale.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't measure. You can't know what you don't measure, right? If you measure something, do you know truly what it is? And the problem is that if everybody claims that there's a different standard for measurement, it becomes so hard to gauge what is success, both for them, for us, for everyone.
I want to turn the conversation down to bringing the cost of content creation down with your intelligent content creator.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
So we actually did that. So today, if you look at Facebook, we pretty much went from being zero, and as per Facebook's own admittance, I hope Saurabh doesn't kill me. We're the largest Facebook publisher in the country today, and 85% of that is driven by Video Machine, which is our technology.
So it's kind of artificial intelligence technology.
It's actually two platforms, and they actually work in concert with each other. They can work together independently, but the first one actually tells us what kind of formats to create and what kind of content works and resonates with a certain subculture and community. And the second one allows us to scale that. So obviously we have studios and we have great creative folks across the country in different markets creating content for our media brands, and they create the high-end studio stuff which really builds the brand, the editorial, and quite often they ignore the insights as well because they just want to give it a separate spin. The Video Machine keeps it consistently engaged. So we're working with Amin's teams now we just launched in Indonesia and Malaysia. So Astro and GoShop, right, Unilever Indonesia. So these companies, Disney just signed on as a client as well, Mattel in the US. So our core technology we built for our media business here, we kind of, outside of India, I'm not a media company, so because we don't compete with any of these guys. So outside of India, a lot of these guys said, wow, we are solving a lot of the problems which we face in this world. And both advertisers, which also want to be publishers today, are licensing, and that's the 2 quarters of it. It's a great business, and it's growing well.
So I think to summarize, the first biggest enabler is measurement. The second one is data.
Yeah.
And which I think the beauty about what he just spoke and technologies like that is how do they use consumer insights very, very effectively, and then serving, and coming out with the right content, creative and storytelling. So I think, that's the ideal enablers that our market requires. While we have shops like what Samir brings to the table coming up and flourishing, the first enabler is still some way. So I think data, measurement and technology will actually tell us or allow us or enable us rather in the near future to get this to scale.
Are you happy with the way data and data analytics are evolving?
I'm happy. Actually, I'm pretty much excited with what big data analytics is doing right now. It's opening doors for most of us to look into or to understand the consumer in a manner that we've not been able to do it for years together. Yeah. This entire movement from sample to Sensex is so overwhelming. So when I first heard about it and when first we were discussing, I was just wondering how will we look at it. When you look at some researches which are 200 samples or 500 samples or 1,000 samples or 5,000 samples, and they looked, pretty detailed and overwhelming and all of that. And I was just wondering that what will we do with this 1 million or 10 million or, kind of atrocious numbers, and, how will we make sense out of it? And I think this entire technology enablement into big data analytics is so exciting that the reason why we could work on some of the creative ideas or some of the content solutions is thanks to big data. Companies like Mindshare, I'm sure there are many other companies as well, but companies like Mindshare have invested a large part of their future investments into big data and analytics. So there is the loop, or there is the pivot that we've done for Fulcrum, which actually where we work with data partners, which give us a lot of insights into areas, into dynamics, into opportunities 24/7 in real time, and help us serve the very potent need of the consumers in real time. And that is where content at scale comes into play, and that is where programmatic intervention with the right kind of content comes into play. And when we merge data and technology and the ability to tell story in the right fashion comes together, and that's when magic starts happening.
I want to talk about the ability to tell a story. There's a lot of controversy about the creative process. The intelligent video created a debate around can a machine tell a story as effectively as a person?
So, if you look at, we just signed the head of AI for Netflix, just came onto the advisory board for Culture Machine, for Intelligence Machine. And if you look at them, Netflix is spending $7 billion on content production. And obviously they're doing it for the SWOT world, right? And, when you sign a show like The Crown, it's $120 million a pop. It's not chump change. And if it doesn't work, how do you know whether, how do you know whether it worked in the first place, and how do you determine whether that's the right script to back? So it was interesting in our conversations, and actually, if you look at it, the three biggest sort of media companies which have entered India, so there's the Hotstar HBO combination, there's Netflix and Amazon. Two of those, actually it's the Hotstar HBO and Disney combination, because all of them are marrying their catalogs together, and then there is Amazon and Netflix. Amazon and Netflix aren't content companies, they are technology companies who happen to produce and spend the most amount of money in content today than anybody else.
Right.
So the reason they're able to make, it's at the end of the day, content creation is a capital allocation problem. How do you know what content to actually produce? How do you know that this will be a story that will work?
And how does the machine tell you that?
So, and that the thing is, because there's enough of data out there in terms of people's consumption patterns, right? So Netflix has that in the form of, we know people who like historical dramas, also like things around the British monarchy, and this director tends to do a very good job at it. These are the log lines, this is the director, this is the cast, this is the script, and they also have closed captioning data around that. In fact, right now, based on what Todd was saying, they even make decisions on how much to pay for that particular show on the back of what their algorithms, dictate that.
And there's ROI modeling, which is
yes, because like for example, if I know for a fact that there is a gap in my catalog for superheroes, right? I can actually go to a Disney or go to a Warner and say, listen, can you give me about 10 of your characters? Don't give me the A-grade ones which you're making movies around, but I have a gap in my catalog around that. Now, is that killing the creative spirit? No. It's allowing you to at least make a much more better, you still need a great director to write the script. You still need a great cast. You still need the whole thing to come and run swimmingly on time and on budget. But you just made an incredibly well-informed decision on which subculture, what taste to bet on. And I think that's what we are doing for the ad-supported side of the world, not just for ourselves, but also for advertisers. And that's why I think, we work so well on not just the content part, but also on the ability to kind of understand deeply. So, for example, if, Rahul launches a new brand on food, say it's frozen foods, and it's peas, right? What kind of formats of recipes does that competition use, and where do his products get integrated? Which ones resonate the best in terms of topicality? Which influences are creating that? That's a lot of computation to do before you make the decision. We just automated it.
No, actually, sort of all of this is...
I'm going to call Rahul up after this with the full pitch now. Next thing.
It's quite fascinating, actually. I think all this, one reads about machines and algorithms helping you sort of with the creative process. And one has equally heard about, people cautioning against the idea of sort of looking at a formulaic approach to creativity. Because the honest truth is that, the moment a genre of, let's say, Bollywood sort of succeeds, somebody does a blind fifth version of the same, let's say, rom-com series or whatever, it bombs like crazy. Because I think it's as much about, I think as, great visionaries have said, it's about sort of being able to read the unexpressed sort of ideas and yearnings in your, with your audiences. And how would a machine ever do that? Having said that, I think the machine, and I think Samir alluded to that, I guess just like Watson doesn't ever intend to sort of replace an oncologist, but merely helps an oncologist take more informed decisions. Yeah. So in a similar way, I suppose, algorithms can help you with narrowing choices, or at least pointing the way to sort of consumer tastes and so on. But I think even more than that, I think, at least for the moment, I think technology can help in, customizing a creative solution which is fundamentally man-made. Let's say you have an algorithm, you have a sort of storytelling pattern. Yep. But there's no earthly reason why, for arguments, let's say I'm an airline or whatever, and I want to do an a campaign on, the joy of travel or whatever. I can surely, serve to individual customers locales and scenes that I know they will relate with because of their own travel habits. So I could have in that sense a menu of possible video pixels available, which the algorithm could sort of pick and choose from. Or similarly foods. I mean, I can customize a story that is fundamentally created by a human being. And so on. So I'm sure it has to be a clever blend of human creativity and I think machine work.
No, there's this really good video. I kind of grew up on Japanese manga, but if you look at Miyazaki, Miyazaki is by far, he's the sort of He's a creative genius in terms of what Pixar is in the US, is what Miyazaki's studio is for Japan. And one of his creative artists actually basically modeled a bunch of zombies which were writhing in pain and going on the floor, and he had used AI in order to figure out the way they move, and they were all crippled. And basically Miyazaki goes and demolishes him in the creative meeting and says that the machine doesn't know what pain is, and this is a really sad thing that you have done. So you can see that guy's face is just crestfallen, because actually think about it, is I could actually do the same thing with video machine today, where we could render that, but he's right, because there is the act of that storytelling and the emotion, what makes us human, which you still have to marry with it. So it was quite unique to actually see that, it's a problem which I think we'll face as storytellers and as media companies and as advertisers. This problem will only get accentuated and I think a lot of it has to do with creative folks saying that just do it the old way, right? What's wrong with that? Why are you screwing it up? But if you look at the companies which are actually commissioning these, they are all technology companies. Amazon, Netflix, the best shows today you think about are actually generated by decision making made by algorithms. People talk about, shows like Stranger Things. They talk about shows like, so sort of the old world of that is HBO, right? Saying Game of Thrones, great idea, go ahead. All these guys, whether it's Stranger Things or which has come out on Netflix, or the shows which are winning Emmys and Golden Globes, it's people who are interpreting data, adding soul to it, creating content, putting it out. But it's a technology company which is making sure that they know what to do. And I don't think people understand that.
You're saying that the old-fashioned creativity is not redundant by any way.
No, I think old-fashioned creativity will never die, because it's going to be there. It's just that the ones I think which will win and scale are the ones which are going to be able to. You can't run multiple media brands at scale like we do, unless I had an army of people sitting around on insights and research and sitting on post-productions on Avids and FCPs and creating content. It will be ridiculously expensive. I would never be able to run the 5 media brands I do, and we keep launching new ones and test them out. We can't do that without tech. I don't think we could have built Culture Machine in the traditional boutique manner if we did it the old school way. A lot of old school goes into it, and I think it's true for other things as well, including advertisers.
What do you think of traditional old school ways of doing things?
I think there is a room.
It's called Ogilvy.
I think they're changing too. I think what I would want to highlight in what Samir just mentioned is that big data leaves you with an opportunity on the back of behavioral targeting. It's actually consumer behavior. It's not about claimed responses that you've seen ever in your lives or all your lives in your marketing journey, saying that yes I consume this, yes I like to do that, I love that. It's actually what I do 24/7, and that's what mapped. And that's not mapped for 5 days or 5 people, but it's mapped for millions and millions of people, and therefore the sample size is so robust that the chances of success are far higher than not in the regular piece. And I think that's the big enabler that we are hearing. What I also hear is that after getting the insight, you need to put the story into action or to really write an engaging story. And for that, you require the experts who can actually build a great narrative and engaging story, and tell what the consumer will want to come back again and again and watch it. And that's where it is.
We talked about massive 120 million content plays, and we're talking about big brand spending all over every platform. I still want to talk about, sorry, and I've raised this before, but I didn't press it, that it's the very cost-effective way of creating a piece of video, a small piece of video that can go viral with technology that doesn't have a human component. Your intelligent video. Yeah. Can you tell us the best use of that intelligent video to tell a story that you can think of right now?
So, we have hundreds of brands which we work with now just on that piece. So, for example,
And this is really low. This is really low cost.
No, it's very expensive, guys. It's super expensive. To anyone doubt, it's damn expensive.
No, it's not.
It is very expensive. So, it basically does what would take a human being about 2 days to do in a matter of seconds. What it does is, because there's so many formats, right? You have vertical video on Facebook, square shape, or you now have Instagram stories, which itself is a different format altogether, like a Snapchat story is. and you have horizontal videos on YouTube. How do you actually kind of create content? Like suppose Modi announced demonetization at 8:30, 8:45 we had a video out because through being Indian, which meant that a large part of the North Indian audience when they opened up Facebook, I'm pretty sure given the fact that it got a whole bunch of millions of views and shares, happened through our channel and our media brand. But that video was made by a machine. We knew that this was a topic which was trending. There's a lot of conversation happening because of intelligence, but we were able to convert that into action using VM. I didn't have to go to a studio to shoot it. Yes, we use our studios to do the high-end stuff, but you know, a lot of the quick stuff which keeps the brand engaged is what we do via VM. We have partnerships with the likes of Getty, Shutterstock, Reuters, Bloomberg, Pond 5, Library of Congress, and we programmatically pull all of this. The machine cooks the video and then pushes it out in the format which you want.
What would be the factor of cost versus the normal cost is what I think she's wanting to ask.
I mean, you're such a dangerous guy for asking these questions. So, it's good.
I think she's tried it. She's tried it thrice, and I think Samir
So
needs to give an
basically, it
answer.
scales down with volume.
The audience wants to know.
So we should say it's not about cost, it's about sort of timeliness and quickness and relevance.
Thank
and
you,
all
Rahul. Thank you.
Fair.
The last question is a red and green question. We didn't actually set a question, but I think the question could be, and let's put it to the panel. Let my panel say yes or no. The future will be a complete mix of. Oh, hold on. Maybe it could be. Do you think AI can take over the creative process? Yes or no? Yes.
100%?
What percent?
No.
60, 65%?
Yeah, I probably 100 years from now, yeah, it would. 100 years from now, we probably won't have bodies. But anyway, but for the next 5-10 years, I think I would go with what Amin says.
Creative execution process, more and more beyond 60%, but setting the creative template will remain probably human.
Yeah, because machines don't feel right now. When they end up doing that and when technology goes there, then you are in trouble. So am I.
So I'll put it to the audience, quick red and green. Do you think AI and artificial intelligence can take over the creative process? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Will you just wait for, we've got some we've got small tokens. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for a really interesting discussion.